Hey guys, Ramblin Bob here again. I want to show you one of the coolest motors I have owned. This is a 10-year-old Honda EU2000. Yep, it's old, it's beat up, but you know what? It works as good as the day I bought it 10 years ago. That's a long time for a motor. You do your basic oil changes, you keep fresh gas in there, and this motor will last longer than my car, I think. It seems that way anyway. 10 years and going strong. Let me show you how it works. You have your choke here. Okay, this is your starter. You have to pull it, and then this is your on and off button. And then on this side, it's about 50 pounds, about 60 pounds when you fill it up. It's just under a gallon of gas in there. So let's see if you can see this. We have two receptacles. They're 120 volts at 13.3 amps a piece here. You have parallel outputs, and what this is you can get another one of this and another one of these, and you hook them together, and then you can get that 240 out. That's cool. I never used 240, but it's there. Here's a ground just in case if you want to feel safe. You can hook that to somewhere where, you know, if you have any kind of a spike or anything, you have a ground hookup receptacle here. You have eco throttle. So basically what this does is, you know, an engine runs at full speed. Think of it as on the freeway, and then you hit eco throttle, and what that does is, since you don't use the power, it ramps down, kind of like if you think of a gas pedal on your car now. So you're setting it to cruise control on the lowest mode that, you know, still operates and still puts out that voltage, and then when it needs it, it automatically ramps up. You don't have to turn it back on. It ramps up when it needs it, and then after you use it and you go back to that slower draw, it idles back down. That's a gas saver. That's a good idea. Anything with the eco throttle or eco throttle, everybody says it differently. Very good option. Here's your circuit protector. That's your fuse. And then you have, this is an old thing. Now this is not on the new models. This is a 12 volt 8 amp charger. So what this is basically is, you get this little special cable and you can put it here, and then it has these you remember the old clampers that you used to have for like jumping your car and stuff? Well, you hook those to your car battery, and then you can charge a car battery with this. It's only 8 amps, but it's enough to get the car started, and then the alternator can take over from there. Then you have on this side, really nothing other than this is the actual compartment that you put the spark plug in, and it's available and accessible right up front. On the back, you have your exhaust and your grill. That's where all your heat comes out and all your bad gases. So back to this side. She is a little heavy though. If you're not used to carrying 50, 60 pounds around, it's a little awkward at first, but you get used to it. So you have a gas cap. The newer model has a bigger gas cap. It's easier because it's a little hard to get your finger in the older model. See, I can do it just fine, but it's a little clumsy. So what they did is they made it the cap a little bit bigger so you could have a bigger grasp on it and twist it. Great idea. They also have on the new model right here on the off button, okay? So what happens is when you use a motor like this and you just turn it off, what happens? You leave all that gas in the gas line, right? So that means it can get into the carburetor and clog up your carburetor. Once a carb goes, engine is garbage. You have to go clean it out again and then bring it back. So, man, is that a messy job. Don't clog up your carburetors, guys. So what they did on here is, basically, I did a mod inside that, because this is the first model. Now the new ones don't need the mod. So there's 3 settings here. Instead of off and on, there's off for the gas. So as you're ramping down for the end of your period or construction or whatever you're doing, your camping, and you turn it to gas off, this generator will run until the gas in the line is out. Not in the tank, just the line. And what that does is it clears up that line so the gas cannot get to that carburetor anymore. That way all the gas is stored in the tank where it belongs. And then you turn it off after that. Don't forget to turn it off. But that's a nice addition. The new ones even have an auto start, I saw, where you have a remote control and you hit the button and these suckers fire right up. Man, that's cool. I used to have this in my RV, and this was mainly used for pro audio on smaller shows, or we used to use a heater, and we used like anywhere between a 500 and a 1200 watt radiated heater, and this bad boy would keep my RV completely warm for up to about 10 hours, because at 500 watts you can run up to 10 hours on this little thing. Rated is 600 on the low, but if you're drawing less than that, it just means it has extra to spare. On the high, you could probably get about six or 7 of what I've been seeing, depending on how much you draw. The most I usually drew was probably about 1600 watts, and that's good for the system. It has a 2000, I think a 2200 watt surge, but I recommend running this anywhere between 500 and 1500, and this bad boy will last a long time. Seeing is believing. Mine still is here, and I paid about $1,200 for this more than 10 years ago. It's got to be more than 10 years ago now. But it's every time I start this darn thing, it starts. When I want to power up my solar generators now, I can fire this up, and I can charge 1 or 2 depending on what models they are. And I can have that draw, like say that new PECRON that I have. So I can have 600 on one side, 600 on the other. That puts it to 12, right? And I get good solid power for anywhere between 5 to 8 hours, depending on, like I said, the pull from the draw and on 1 gallon of gas. So if you're in the middle of nowhere and you don't have that darn sun, man, you're kind of stuck. But if you bring one of these bad boys along and just use it, like I haven't used this now for my RV in probably more than, I would say, for almost 6 months now. I started every once in a while to make sure it's good, and this is like my backup now. But this is really good for a backup system if you do the solar generators, because if you don't have that sun and you don't want to run on a treadmill and hook up some weird stuff like I thought about, but it doesn't work, this is a cool backup, guys. It's fantastic. I'll show you the startup process. I can't start it because it's literally in my shop, and I have a very small shop, and you should never run a motor inside a small or any confined area. Always run motors outside. That's a warning. So very simple. What I do is I turn off the eco. That's the first thing I do, because the same in anything, when you start your car, you shouldn't idle it low. It ramps up to like 2,000 and then kind of sets down to 700-800 RPMs, depending on what car you have, of course. So that's off. That's the first step. The second step is you open the gas cap. You want to make sure that you have the gas cap. You will not believe how many times people will complain about their system shutting off because they forgot to open the gas cap. You have to have that air so it can suck the gas in. If you have a closed environment, vacuums don't work. So, all right. And then you put the choke all the way over. Once you start it, then you can kind of ramp it down, right? See? Same as a lawnmower, same thing. And then you put this to on, and you give it 1 or 2 pulls. I have literally never had to give it anything more than 1 or 2 pulls in my life, in this little items device. At the very least, or at the very most, it's probably been like 2. Now, with the new models, if you do that cutoff, right, where you actually pull all the gas from the line, remember, so it doesn't get in the carburetor, you have to do a few, obviously, to get the gas back in the line. That's kind of an obvious. But if you took this from job site to job site or campsite to campsite, and, since you're going to use it in an hour or 2, you don't have to drain it because you're going to use it right away. So the gas doesn't get clogged in the carburetor. So you can fire it right back up. And literally, I would say 90% of the time, it's 1 pull and it's already, So after you have it running for a few seconds, right? I don't make good engine sound, sorry. But after it's running for a few seconds, it's running on high, which is its full output. Then you go back to this little guy here, I hope you can see it, and you turn on eco. The eco throttle saves your gas and drops the RPMs down to a manageable, usable, lowest point of this motor where it can still run properly. And there's really nothing more to say about this unit other than it is absolutely, this is a monster. Like if you need a backup system. They also have the Yamaha one, I love that too. I'll show you real quick. So the internals are very simple. You can see how fast I'm literally opening everything. These are your air cleaners. Very easy. You just pop them right back on, pop them out, pop them in. Very simple. You want to check all your lines. But these are those lines I was telling you about. So when the gas goes through there and it gets into your carburetor, boom, you don't have a carburetor no more until you clean it out. That is a pain in the butt job, guys. You know what? My motorcycle had that one time because I was dumb enough to leave that gas in there for a whole season, and I forgot to drain it. We all have those little, mistake times. It cost me $400 to have that carburetor professionally re-cleaned and rebuilt and everything. And I had to sit in a bucket with acid for like a day or 2. Man, I want to get out and ride. I don't want to sit in a bucket, you know what I mean? So that's how easy it is to do the air. And you saw how fast, that was like 30 seconds. I could have popped it up, put a new one in there. It's literally nothing. And then on this side, you have that that spark plug, which if you push real hard, see how that pops up? And then you have, oh, see, there's some trees I did a long time ago. So I'll kind of get closer here. So inside here you have your spark plug. You see how easy that it is accessible right there? Sorry, I have a stutter. It's so easy to change that, you know. Make sure to, if anytime you change a spark plug like that, make sure you blow off that area well. If one of those little pieces get in the engine, you could have problems. Looks like I got some cleaning to do. So that's very simple. And a spark plug, you know what they cost you? Like $2. Man, we haven't had to change this very often. I recommend an oil change every 50 hours. At the very least, do about 60 hours, but try to do it every 50 hours. Once you get in a routine like that, it's way easier to keep this stuff running. You know, motors are only your friend when they start. Otherwise, they're a big dead weight. All right, guys, well, this is definitely my review of one of the best motors I have ever bought, ever in my lifetime. It is quiet. The decibels are under, I think it's like 60, 62. That means from 25 feet away, you could barely hear it. Like when we used to do, let's see, like an outdoor show, right? And you just, you know, you put up a couple speakers and stuff, like at a car show. You do a car show, and, you know, like you have that ambient noise. Nobody even knows you're running this. A lot of people used to come over and say, you know, hey, Bob, do you need a line, you know, electric line? I said, no, I'm good. And they go, well, where are you getting your electricity from? The little motor out the back of my RV. And, of course, they walk around and they hear that little, it's a real, you know, to me, it sounds equivalent like a very, very small scooter, or like a moped. If you guys ever had a small moped, they're so quiet you don't even hear them driving down the street. But this thing has the idle of a moped that's idling. That's how quiet it is. Guys, this is one, if you don't have a Honda by now or that Yamaha, either one, you're missing the ball game, because this, hands down, will save your butt. If you're going to charge any kind of a power station, any kind of a battery bank, this could power your whole house. If you get the two of them and you have the 240 volt, I mean, you could run anything in your house, literally. So, and then you can run it for a whole day. I also have a model, you take this cap off, and I have a special cap, which is like an alloy, I think it's aluminum cap. You could find them on eBay and Amazon. And it has a little gas line, and it goes to a 5-gallon extend run tank, like for a boat. You know, the boat that, you know, kind of hooks on the back, or you have the flat one like that you put in an average boat. I can run this puppy for days, literally days, on that 5-gallon. So, like, I think you get, let's see, about, on low, you get about 10 hours. So you figure 5 gallons times that's 50 hours. That's 2 days if you needed backup power at 600 watts for 2 days. That's amazing. And you don't have to touch it. And it's quiet. Some campsites don't allow motors, so you got to have the batteries, which I'm glad those are out now. But this has been my review of the Honda EU2200i. This is a fantastic model. Guys, more thumbs. If I had more thumbs, I wish I had more here. This will be a thumb. 3 thumbs up. This is a good product, guys. Check it out. Ramblin Reviews. I'll see you next time. Travel safe.